Hi there guys, this is Hotform here. Today we're just going to be watching some 2 versus 2s that I did on my Discipline Priest, and I'm going to be playing with a Rogue today, and we're going to be facing mostly double DPS teams in these clips. The first one we're going to be facing is a Warlock and a Warrior, and our target at the moment is going to be the Warlock. I get knocked out there, which is poor timing, but it didn't really matter in the end. The Warlock's going to be our main target here at the start, and the Rogue's just going to open on him. He gets a sap on the Warrior too, and the Warrior doesn't Berserker Rage out of that, probably saving it for my Fear here. But as I come in Fear, he probably should have burned his Berserker Rage right away. And we're just going to keep pressure out on the Warlock. He ports up, and our Rogue has no Shadow Step target, so I'm just going to Life Grip him up. And you can see I'm rolling dots on the Warlock. I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can right now. Well, I know my Rogue's safe. My Rogue has a bunch of cooldowns. You know, if he gets disastrously low in a burst or something, I know he can save himself, at least for a bit. So all the damage I can put out on the Warlock right now is really important, because as long as we can keep him under pressure, there's no way he has time to do the damage and the CC that he needs to keep the battle winning for them. I mean, when he's that low, he's going to have to just retreat the entire time, and that's what keeping pressure out on a double DPS team is all about. You know, as long as you can keep them on the defensive, you're in a great position. So your entire battle should be focused on keeping them on the defensive. Like, I popped my Shadow Fiend on him already. It was a while ago, but just putting it out so early, I know I'm not going to need the mana in this matchup, and getting all the damage I can into the Warlock was important, so using that Shadow Fiend just to do extra damage. It's actually one of the strongest globals you have to do damage. Lux is going to port away here. I can't really do anything about it. I'm just going to Penance in there, and although it's tempting to chase him when he's that low health, there's really no way that I could have finished him off. He could have just feared me if I went over there, and it's better to be safe than sorry and just keep my Rogue alive at this point. He's kind of stuck with the Warrior right now, but he's trying to get over to the Warlock, and the Warlock's Soul Harvest is still on cooldown. We did keep him in combat for a fair amount of time. He's dropping his port again, so he's probably going to do another jump and get up here, and there's not a lot we can do to stop that. And the Warlock's going to port up and run away again here. I'm just going to fear him to try to stall him from doing anything effective while I keep my Rogue alive. And although we can't really avoid that, where he portals up and runs away, he's not doing anything at this point. It's annoying that he can get away this much, but they're losing the battle this entire time, because it's pretty easy for me to keep the Rogue alive to just the Warrior's damage. And while the Warlock tries to flee and get himself back into a good position, his Warrior's using up his cooldowns. You know, they don't really have a lot of pressure going, and it's just easy for me to top the Rogue and keep damage rolling at the same time. So they fall behind quite quickly. My Fear Ward comes off cooldown there, so I'm just going to put that back up, and it does stop the Warrior Fear, which is nice. Remember to use things like Fear Ward when they come off cooldown. The Warlock puts Shadow Ward up here. I'm just going to dispel that and finish him off with a Shadow Ward Death. And having the high ground advantage there is actually quite good on this arena. It can be annoying because someone can hide right up against the edge on the bottom, and you have to shuffle over until your foot's kind of hanging off the side to be able to hit them. But you have the advantage on the high ground, because although it's annoying that they can do that, if you find that sweet spot, you can hit them anywhere on the low ground. But you can just shuffle back a few steps and they can't hit you anymore. So the line of sight definitely works to your advantage there. And this is the reason we don't go for the Warrior, because while we're on the Warlock, he gets low and he has to run away, whereas the Warrior is just kind of a battery. He's going to try to stay alive, but his cooldowns are going to be popped, and he's going to keep fighting at the same time because he's a melee. So since we can go on the Warlock and completely stop his damage when he's on the defensive, it really lets us just kind of one-side this battle and push them down into the ground, just keeping pressure on the Warlock wherever we can. As we enter into Ruins here, we're going to be facing the same team, and this is just a good example of knowing when you're the target and when it's your job to just avoid getting hit. Because I can see right now they want to go for me, the Warlock's putting dots on me, the Warrior's just kind of blindly chasing me around. So all the time I can avoid combat for is for the best, because I'm not taking damage at that point. I couldn't really have done anything if I dismounted. I would have just been doing what I'm doing now and getting some heals going. Going to dispel that fear on the Rogue. I saw the Warlock casting, which is, you know, it's easier to see your enemy casting it and then know, okay, exactly when the dispel needs to hit, rather than being reactive and seeing your partner feared. So anytime you can get a glance at that and see someone casting a CC or some other effect that you want to dispel, it's gives you quite a head start, and it makes your dispels look a lot better. Our Rogue's just kind of getting on the Warlock at this point, and it gave us a huge head start that I just stayed mounted at the beginning there, because now they didn't really have any pressure running. The Warlock's already having to go on the defensive. He's making another Hellstone here. He's just doing all he can to try to keep himself alive. And although the Warlock's trying to peel for the Rogue at this point, the Warlock's really low and doesn't look like he's going to live too much longer. With no edge on this arena, he has a lot more trouble staying alive. I'm just going to pump out some Mind Spikes here, because why not? I have the free casting time. The Warlock's going to port away with a sprint, and the Rogue's stuck with the Warrior a little bit here. I'm just going to fear the Warlock, make sure that he doesn't get much done, and finish him off with a Mind Blast. So that's all you need to do. You know, when you're the target, you just want to make yourself as unappealing as possible to attack, because if you you know, if you know that they're going for you, then your only job is to stay alive, especially as a healer. I mean, if they're going for you, then you're the one that has to focus on keeping everyone alive in the battle. So the best way to do that is just avoid taking any damage. And by making yourself an unappealing target too, it makes them more likely to switch off you. We come into our final arena here. It's going to be Ring of Valor, and we're going to be facing a mage and a rogue. And again, we're just going to try to keep them on the defensive. We're going to be going for the rogue. And when I see double invis off the start here, I'm just going to go post up on that pole closest to us and wait for it to go up. Because if I can get on top of that, it gives us a huge advantage. Although they can catch me on it, there's no reason not to stand there and hope that I get a good position on that pole. And if I do, it pretty much wins us the battle, at least if I'm the target. If they go for my rogue, it's a different story, of course. But I can avoid CC up there as well. I get sapped, and then our rogue gets a sap on their rogue. I'm going to get Frostnova and Deep Frozen here right off the start. The mage is just burning everything early. I'm going to come over and just get a nice fear there to make sure I can split it between them. The mage trinkets that, and the rogue's going to sit in it. The rogue's under pressure. That was probably a smart choice. I'm going to get up here, and the rogue vanishes off, but he does have a hemorrhage dot on him, so he's going to get pulled out of that vanish pretty soon. He comes out there. I'm just going to put my dots up because, you know, dots are really easy to get up. I can't get counterspelled on them or anything, and they keep the rogue from stealthing because he's going to vanish again here. He's just trying to get a good start, and he's wasting his cooldowns really quickly trying to get up to me. I should have stood closer to the edge there, but by coming a little close to the edge, he managed to shadow step up to me. If I had stayed centered, he wouldn't have been able to do that. When I did go up, I didn't get to mention, when I went up in the first place, I put some shields and stuff on my rogue, because when I'm up there, I know that they can't go for me. So, you know, the next best thing they can do is go for your partner, and you have to be prepared for it at that point. My rogue gets sheeped and blinded here. He's going to trinket out of both of those, which is nice that he still had that up and he was saving that. I'm going to keep my dots rolling on the rogue, but I do get sheeped here, so I'm making a mental note. Okay, I got sheeped. I got to watch for a shadow or death on the next one, because the mage is trying to CC me. You know, although I'm not going to get every one, it's nice to know when you have to pay attention for it. So he's sheeping me here. I'm going to shadow or death, but of course I had 2 seconds left on Divine Aegis, so that absorbed the shadow or death and didn't break me out of the sheep, which is unfortunate. I didn't know my rogue had Cloak of Shadows there, so that was a bit of overlap of cooldowns, but it's at this point that I just kind of give away pain suppression, because, you know, I know that the rogue's not going to come back from this. He's trying to live, but there's no way he's going to recuperate enough health to be able to put out pressure, so it's better to just be safe rather than sorry. And I figured my rogue was going to get stuck in the open there for a little bit, so there's no reason not to just use up those large cooldowns that I still have left. Just kind of dispelling the mage, trying to finish him off here. He's going to do his best to stay alive, but this is the reason we get rogue in this team. The mage can run away so effectively, whereas a rogue gets, you know, they get beaten down quite quickly, because although they have a fair amount of cooldowns to survive, you can count on them dying after a certain amount of time, because they're just going to run out of those cooldowns, and once they're out of cooldowns, there's not a lot they can do to keep up. So that works out nicely. Well, that's about all there is for today, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.